get down. Sir, I said get down. Now!
Can you get them back up here?
Hey, so as you probably all know, Zack Snyder finally got his version of the Justice League released. And I gotta say, I liked it. Just like you guys should like this video, because this week we're talking about the Snyderverse. To be specific, Batman vs Superman. In my last video I went over Man of Steel, so we're gonna do all three. And unlike Justice League, I don't think this is a good movie. It's pretty disappointing, to be quite honest. But before we get into the goodies, let's go over this plot. So it opens with Bruce's perspective of the Battle of Metropolis, where he sees some pretty terrible things. It's a good initial point to why he would hate Superman, and I like this scene. It's well done. It's a really cool G-Bad. Then there's this subplot of Lex hiring people to shoot other people where Superman has been to make it look like he's doing it. But why would Superman shoot people? They do burn the bodies to make it look like he's using his heat vision, but why shoot them in the first place? So they're trying to make it look like Superman is a violent killer, which he is. Meanwhile, Batman's just going around branding people, so Lex is having them killed in prison to make it look like Batman is a killer, which he is. Then there's this scene where Lex is trying to convince two senators to give him access to get kryptonite. He eventually convinces one, but the way he does it is super weird, and he also sounds crazy, and this scene makes me feel really, really uncomfortable. After inviting Clark and Bruce to a fundraiser event where they meet for the first time, I like this scene, it's real neat. Batfleck is doing great here. He's doing a real good job playing Bruce, and he,
have a bad history with freaks dressed like clowns.
Bruce only goes to steal some data files, but Wonder Woman shows up and steals his flash drive before he can get to it. Meanwhile, Lex bails Wally, an old employee of Wayne Tower during the Battle of Metropolis, out of jail and blackmails him into going to a senator, calling a hearing regarding Superman and his actions. So Bruce goes to steal back his flash drive. He also lays the moves on Wonder Woman pretty hard here.
10 men will let you get away with anything.
But you're the 10.
I'm guessing I'm the first.
So while he's cracking the USB files, he has the first dream sequence. It sets up some cool theories for a cool future, but when the USB finishes, he finds out about Lex's shipment of kryptonite, and he also finds out about the Justice League. So he goes to steal the kryptonite from Lex by just murdering anybody who gets in his way. It's pretty brutal. I mean, it looks cool, but he's pretty brutal in this scene. Until he rounds a corner and is met by Superman, who tells him,
"The bat is dead."
So the kryptonite gets away and Lex starts doing some tests on Zod, and Superman goes to court. Now everyone's surprised when he shows up, but in Man of Steel, when Zod and the US Army asked Superman to come forward, he did, so it's a little weird they're surprised he shows up. Lex planted a bomb in Wally's chair and the courthouse explodes, so Superman flies off and does some sad boy stuff for a while. Meanwhile, Batman steals the kryptonite from LexCorp and gets war ready. He builds some weapons and a cool new costume. Lex kidnaps Lois and Ma Kent, throws Lois off a building. Superman comes to save her, and it's revealed Superman must kill Batman or his ma dies. So he goes to Gotham and just gets his ass kicked by Batman. Straight up, he was about to end this boy's life. But he doesn't, and it's so stupid. And he goes to save Ma Kent while Superman confronts Lex, but since the movie still has runtime, it's revealed that he made Doomsday.
Your doomsday.
And by this point, I had completely clocked out. So they have a big old destructive battle. Wonder Woman shows up, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure she could have taken Doomsday. She was doing fine with a sword and shield, so what more was a spear and a shield? But Superman's killed, and there's a funeral both for Superman and Clark Kent. Batman and Wonder Woman both go off to find the Justice League. Look, there's a lot I skipped over, but this is like a 3-hour and something movie, and I don't want to just do a plot recap.
No, I don't really feel like it.
And I hate doing plot recaps, I just feel like I'm giving a presentation, so let's get into the good stuff. So to me, this movie has everything it needs to be a good movie, but it finds a way to butcher everything it has going for it. A lot of this movie is built on hype. It hypes up a Batman vs Superman fight, and it just delivers on it disappointingly. In fact, I would say the theme of this movie is disappointment. Now I've made it pretty obvious that I'm not a big fan of this movie, so we'll start with the stuff I did like, because I don't think it's all bad. For starters, this movie looks really, really good. The CGI still holds up for the most part. Zack must have heard my complaints in my last video, because this movie is colored really, really good. Along with the amazing cinematography, this movie is really good to look at, just not pay attention to. Overall, I think this movie's aesthetic, the costumes, the sets, the shots is all really well done. But it's not only the looks, the score is really well done. It's done by Junkie XXL and the boy Hans Zimmer, you know he don't miss. It's got some really strong tracks, the Wonder Woman theme probably being my favorite. I always get so hyped when I hear it come on. I think the chemistry between the cast is also really strong. I think it's best portrayed when they're not in suit because the fundraiser and ball are really good scenes between our heroes. I think Batman and Wonder Woman definitely have the best chemistry, but that's also partially because my man Batman just been laying the moves on her pretty hard here. But I think it's Affleck who shines. He's got the right persona and essence of Bruce Wayne. Look how he spits game at Diana. It reminds me a lot of something out of like the Batman animated series kind of Bruce Wayne. And I think his Brady tank of a Batman is a pretty good take on the character, for the most part. He's got good costumes and he's intimidating as hell when he's in them. The highlight of his character being the warehouse scene. In fact, this is the highlight of the movie for me. It's like something ripped out of an Arkham game. The combat flows so well, plus the music along with it makes it so epic. It's honestly one of my favorite live action Batman scenes. Still, despite being good at the part, he has his flaws too. The Justice League all make a little appearance. I don't mind this very much. It's also very nice of Lex to make them all a little logo. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else I find enjoyable about this movie. For starters, the pacing of this movie is pretty brutal. It drags on for so long, then it's just red lasers and dust for like an hour. The plot of this movie is pretty jam-packed of stuff and kinda overly complicated because it tries to just fit so much material in it. It goes through a lot in this movie when all I wanted to see was Batman beat up Superman. But instead we get like a Man of Steel 2, a Batman vs Superman fight, a Justice League sequel, and the death of Superman just thrown into one movie. There's just no time for one thing to be focused on, and it really takes away from the movie by adding to the disappointment. I think the most disappointing thing being the actual Batman vs Superman fight. It's like a 7-minute drunken bar fight that's resolved because their moms have the same name. See, underdeveloped ideas. It's the title of the movie, and they even hype up this fight during the movie only to underdeliver. They changed it to IMAX format just to showcase it, but the choreography is pretty bad and nothing stands out except for the fact that the Martha thing is bad. Superman's just sad again, and I talked about why I don't like this in my last video, so I'm not going to focus on that here. Instead, I'm going to focus on the awful, terrible Lex Luthor we got in this movie. And while I don't blame Jesse Eisenberg too much, he's just making weird noises, he's talking in jibber jabber, he's super twitchy. It doesn't work for the character of Lex Luthor. Honestly, every time he's on screen, I'm just kinda uncomfortable. But what I think is the most terrible is Zack Snyder's take on Batman. Now, while I talked about liking Batfleck, I want to be clear that I like what I think Ben Affleck brought to the role. Not how Zack Snyder portrays him. I don't think he understands Batman or knows how to use them for the most part, because a lot of what Batman's doing in this movie is running around and gunning people down. I mean, he shoots quite a lot of people in this. See, Batman is my all-time favorite superhero, so when I see him running around using guns to kill people, I got a personal bone to pick. Like I said, Zack Snyder doesn't know how to use Batman, so he just gives him a gat, which is like the least Batman-y thing. For one, Batman does not kill. It's his moral code. It's what he believes separates him from his enemies. And Batman does not use gun, because his world was taken by one. He views it as the weapon of the enemy. You see, Batman is just more than some guy with a gun. He's the world's greatest detective, one of the highest trained assassins. I think what makes Batman so interesting is he's not always able to rely just on brute strength. He's got his wits, theatrics, and deception to go about solving a problem, and here we just don't really get to see any of that. And it makes me feel like I'm just watching one of those hockey pad goons from the Dark Knight.
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
It kind of makes me mad how blatantly Zack Snyder just disregards what makes Batman, Batman. Overall, the long and overly stuffed plot along with some terrible characters, this movie is pretty boring and bad. Not in a fun way either. So I'm giving Batman vs Superman Dawn of Disappointment 2 out of 10. This movie is definitely a bad noodle.
You'll get this star back when you earn it.
Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to stay up to date on what the channel is going to be doing or what videos are going to come out next, you guys can follow me on Twitter. I will link it down below. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.